Hey folks, Eden Grower Creedmoor here, coming to you from my plant extract zone. This is the place where I like to make my plant extracts, where I like to take away those juices from the organic matter that grew in my garden and had to come out of my garden and go somewhere else to be useful again. I've gone ahead and I moved my digesters further out into the yard where they could do their thing without the smell emanating towards areas that I occupy more often. This type of composting tends to smell a little bit, since it's more about putrefaction and less about actual aerobic decomposition. These digesters I made, basically they were made based on the KNF, or Korean natural farming methods. A huge proponent of that is the original purveyor of the JADM method, and I listened in on quite a few of those lectures, and basically this is what I came up with. It's my version of that. So I'm going to go ahead and turn you around. I'm going to show you the compression composter first, and basically what it does is it's where I put all my plant matter. I put a little bit of weight on top of it. Occasionally I add a little water, but most of the time I just let the rain do it. And as that water filters through, and as that rain might drip through, and as the plant matter is compressed, all of the little juices push their way out of the media, and it drips down to the bottom of the barrel, out some holes in the bottom of the barrel, and into a collection vessel. Well, I've got enough material collected today, since it rained yesterday, to go ahead and make up a gallon of plant juice, and that's what I figured I would do. It's not as hot as it normally is. It's only about, I don't know, 90 something degrees, so we have a little bit of a reprieve. I'm going to take this opportunity to do something good. So right here you can see all of the three digesters. The blue one is a compression digester. The black one right there is a putrefaction digester, but it is several months old. The black one right here is also a putrefaction digester, but it's new. It's fairly new. There's not a whole lot going on in it just yet. This one right here in the middle is more or less on its way to producing exactly what we want. We're not really going to talk about these two today because they don't produce what you want quick enough. The two black barrels take 6 months to make fertilizer with. See that blue barrel? It takes 24 hours. So can you see why Creedmoor Fury is more interested in showing you that one? Alright, let's go over there and have a look. This is just a ceramic tile cover that I use to place over the top. It keeps, critters out, flies land on it. It even keeps rain out. When this is covering the entire top, it means I don't want water going in there. So I'm going to remove it. Now you can look inside. Doesn't really smell, because it's not anaerobic. I'm sorry, it's not anaerobic. This is the weight. This is the platen. You can see there's all kinds of maggots and nasty things down there, and you name it. All sorts of unsavory stuff. Yes, all of their biology ends up in the fermented plant juice, as nature wants it to. Down here below, you got two 4x8 by 16-inch concrete blocks, and then you've got the vessel that holds the fluid. I'm going to pull that out. There you have it. You're seeing it for the first time. This represents about a gallon of plant juice. Very dark, very rich, very full of stuff. Okay, next step. Here's the 1 gallon container that I've repurposed from, well, distilled vinegar. We use that to deal with some of the invasive grasses that grow around the edges of our gardens. It's brushed and wiped onto the grasses to slow their growth down and keep them from invading. I've got a filter on top, and inside that filter I'm going to go ahead and put my little mesh bag. The entire setup looks like this. I drape the mesh bag over the top of the funnel, sitting on top of the barrel, sitting within the 1 gallon jug. Okay, in this view here you're going to see me attempt to pour this in without making a mess or pouring it all over myself. Once you get a little bit of the liquid in here, it sort of ballasts the jug so the jug doesn't fall over on you. It'd be far easier for me to do it on the floor, but a little bit more difficult for me to show it from a camera angle. Y'all make sure you do what's safe and practical. You can have a look and see what you got. While this stuff is nasty, as long as you don't like go ahead and eat your lunch without washing your hands, you're going to be fine. Hygiene is really important when it comes to gardening. Now, I've taken all that I need. I've got about a gallon in here. I've got over a gallon in here. This will go to my wash point, and it'll simply be washed. This gets capped. And in the beginning, what I was doing was I was taking it to the laboratory and I was putting it on the microscope to inspect it to see exactly what was going on in there. And after a while, I concluded that the safest thing to do with my plant juice wasn't necessarily to just simply apply it to the plants direct, but what I like to do with my plant juice is I like to do with it what nature does. I like to use it to feed the bacteria and the other microorganisms in my compost teas. They break it down, they do the right thing with it, and if there's any negative or pathogenic organisms in it, just the simple fact that I'm going to aerate it in my compost teas means that those organisms are going to switch. The ones that are multiphasal will switch. I'm going to try not to be too nerdy here, folks. Bacteria and other microorganisms can switch their preferences. Some of them prefer methane, some of them prefer oxygen, some of them prefer other things to breathe. But in this particular case, what I want to do is embellish the ones that breathe the same air we breathe. So when I take this plant juice and I put it inside my compost tea barrel and I steep it, it's in contact with a lot of rich oxygen, and it's in contact with a lot of rich oxygen dominant organisms that then go on to process this for me. And then it's applied. 24 hours or 48 hours later, it's applied to my plants. Can you apply this as is? You most certainly can, with one small caveat. If the liquid solution sits in the jug down there for more than 1 or 2 days, it begins to become anaerobic. The simple fact that we can put this in our compost tea barrel with the air means that we can reverse the anaeroby and still use it. If I was to remove the lid from this and the lid from this, the smell would be so bad I wouldn't be able to stand here. Putrefaction brings on bad smells. Putrefaction in its early phases does not eliminate pathogens. The beautiful thing about aerobic activated compost teas is that the simple act of adding air to those teas creates an environment that's preferential to the same organisms that work well within our gardens. All right? So let me dummy that up a little bit. When we add air to the water has more air. The microorganisms that benefit from having air thrive. When we feed them, they multiply. When they multiply, they cycle more nutrients faster and more efficiently. So if we take that same biology and apply it to our relatively young back to Eden method garden beds, or whatever garden bed you're growing, folks, just because I'm an Eden grower doesn't mean that y'all can't use these methods to grow traditionally, because you can. So when I take all of that biology that's been fed by the same juices in here that your plants are putting down into the root systems, okay? Maybe your plants are weak, so they're not doing that very well. We can decompose them in a jug like this, crush the blood from them, we can serve it up to the biome, and then we can serve the biome back to the same earth where your plants are not growing so well, and something miraculous happens. The plants start to grow really well. You're getting it now, aren't you? Why these in that equation? If I'm such a large proponent of aerobic decomposition anaerobic recomposition, because this makes 35 or 40 gallons at a pop. And I made one. I can wait 6 months for 35 gallons of compost tea, the anaerobic form, to make. Because in 6 months' time, every bit of plant material that's inside these barrels is going to be completely broken down. It's amazing, folks. If you haven't watched the videos that the purveyor of the JADAM method has put out, you really should. Take a minute, watch his videos. Yes, I think they're translated. Yes, I think there's what you call it along the bottom of the screen for you to read. But the information is there and it's readily available. It's genius, if nothing else. Yes, this is actually genius because it's so easy to do. Right? The reason why it doesn't feature more prominently in my videos and within my garden is because it takes so long. 24 hours to make this, 24 more hours down in my compost tea zone, and this is going on the plants. This is still going to be here in the fall. Get it? Good. Grow more, grow better.